After all these years, I never thought to ask. Mystery stories, romance novels, the Sunday comics.
It's 2027, and old Batman doesn't respond to Barbara due to his headaches. They both know he can't go on forever, but he still refuses to give up and confronts Freeze.
When did this get so hard?
Time has been unkind to Bruce. He may have had years to study his enemies to match them, but his body can only go so far, rendering his efforts futile.
Time, Batman, has made you weak, slow, irrelevant. Facts you refuse to accept.
This episode, artifacts written by Greg Weisman from the 2005 The Batman Show, asks how would Batman be remembered? Not relative to the people he knew, but centuries later, when he's a subject to archaeologists trying to find a way to beat a resurfaced Mr. Freeze. The answer it provides is both inspirational and kinda sad, as the episode cuts back and forth from this elderly Batman struggling to fight in an uncaring world.
A man's life is at stake. That plane needs to land.
And land it will.
The legacy he devoted his entire life to is forgotten by time. However, knowing Freeze was never caught, he left behind codes for the serum needed to take him down, and it turned out to be Iron Brew. This leads to one of the most satisfying and also unintentionally hilarious moments, where after freezing himself for centuries to escape this guy, Victor still can't escape Batman.
But I waited 1,000 years. You can't still be here!
The episode ends with the archaeologist thankful that Batman ensured Gotham would still be protected for 1,000 years. Bruce Wayne has given himself so completely to his work that it's transcended time. Because the mission, as he keeps going on about,
I'll pass the torch when the mission's over. The mission isn't over. The mission isn't over.
is not just his obsessive need for personal vengeance, but it's a service for those around him. A gift. This is something that really fascinates me. The Batman's version of the Batman, in comparisons to other adaptations, is incredibly not angry or lonely. He's a smiling good dude, to the extent that he even pushes Superman to be more trusting.
I prefer to work alone.
So did I. Once.
Something changing your mind.
Batman is an inspiring figure in this universe, but in a very specific wide-eyed way.
Now, if you'll follow me.
And there's two episodes from earlier that exemplifies this. The first is when he accidentally made Selina a better person. She totally bamboozles Bruce Wayne when looking for a rich person to prey on. Look at him yawn. Aww.
Your grip.
She pretends to be a fundraiser, and her aggressive moves totally suckers him into inviting her into his home, and even Alfred likes her.
More importantly, she's intimate with all of Gotham's charities.
You are made for each other.
However, then, danger strikes. He's got to play the role of a buffoon to protect his identity, even if it makes Bruce
Wow, I better call the police.
immediately less attractive. Bruce Wayne is the Mask. That's not surprising. He even uses his own persona to create a trap. But what is surprising is his lack of paranoia, because he's totally sincere in how trusting he is. At no point does he learn of Selina being Catwoman. Instead, as Batman, he teams up with her in a moment of beautiful symmetry. And in the end, he convinces her with just a stare to hand back the object she stole.
Not even one.
And he further disappoints Selina by donating the cat's eye to charity, in which he lets her decide which one.
And the Wayne Foundation would be honored to have you donate the proceeds to the charity you feel could use it most.
It's a pretty goofy episode where, shockingly, the joke is on Bruce. He's like Mr. Magoo, not knowing what the impact of his actions are. But we do, and it's his charitable nature which provokes others to be also charitable.
Well, Selina donated the check after all, to the Gotham Pet Shelter Network.
Another episode is the origin of Robin, where, much like Selina, there's an unconscious connection made between Bruce and Dick.
I called the police 5 minutes ago.
And guess who intercepted that call?
When the kid calls the police on Tony Zuko, Batman and Dick connect with a simple look and smile. After the murder of his parents, we all know what's going to happen. Bruce pays for their funeral and sees how this kid is the kid who died inside him. So he knows exactly what Dick needs. Someone there for him.
I was lucky enough to have you to guide me through those dark days, Alfred. Dick deserves the same.
Furthermore, Bruce will stop at nothing to ensure this boy will achieve a different conclusion than him, where he won't have to live with the burden of not knowing where his parents' murderers are.
I suspect he may need a father figure more than he needs a crime fighter.
The criminal responsible for my parents' death was never brought to justice, Alfred. That's a burden I won't let Dick carry.
The mission for Bruce is something that costed him his youth, but it's also a product of his youth. And this episode emphasizes this by showing how Batman connects with Dick far better than Bruce does.
I'm not sure Bruce Wayne has what it takes to raise you properly.
But if not Bruce Wayne, what about the Batman?
And how Dick arrives at the same conclusion as Bruce did, as if this is the only conclusion, the only reaction there can be.
One day, Alfred, Zuko's gonna have to pay for what he did. I'm gonna make sure of that.
I don't want your childhood to be consumed by revenge. Like mine was.
Sit this one out. I can handle Freeze. Maybe it's time to pass the torch.
I'll pass the torch when the mission's over.
We both know the mission will never be over.
The point I'm making with these case studies is that in this show, the mission is the fossilization of a pure sense of innocent nobility, if you will.
But I can't go dressed like this.
In the same way Freeze is frozen in time with the same old motives, Batman's mission has frozen his heart in time.
Perfectly preserved.
So there's always a part of him that's kind of childlike, but not in a haunting way, in a more wide-eyed, innocent way. Something which Batman and Dick felt in their first meeting. It gives complicated people a moment to see things simply, and allows Dick and Bruce to endure more pain than reasonable when facing death.
All you did was numb the pain.
And this innocent nobility is why Dick doesn't kill, and why Batman is a good father. What's beautiful about Artifacts and the big picture storytelling of all of this throughout the Batman is seeing the seismic effect of his sincerity. This version is a bit naive, a bit clumsy, but extremely earnest. Thus, he changes the world because he's a believer of people.
Welcome. If you're viewing this message, I can only assume one thing. The mission isn't over. State the nature of the emergency.
Dr. Frost, Mr. Freeze.
So it's kind of beautiful to see that belief rewarded.
Time changes nearly everything, but the mission and the legend of the Batman lives on.
Even if he doesn't get to see it himself. So this was the Artifacts video. This literally took me months because I was very adamant that this wouldn't be like a usual video essay. Instead, it would be more like a narrated short film where I can communicate my interpretation of the Batman show through cutting back and forth between these 3 episodes. However, after like 4 drafts, I just couldn't make it work because I ended up just summarizing the plot of the 3 different stories and then just constantly interrupt each of them. Any point that could have been made was eventually lost. As a result, I had to swallow my pride and then just sort of make a more normal-ish essay where I explain all my points. Hopefully some of the narrated quality is still present. Anyways, especially thanks to everyone on Patreon, and I'll see you guys soon.
ETA to Metropolis, 2 minutes.